good afternoon, and good evening, YouTube and Facebook. Thank you so much for making it to today. Oh my goodness, we are at 22 degrees Scorpio on November 14th, and I know through many people that I've talked to today that some of us are just tired, and that's okay. We actually have a cold day here in Asheville. I think it's the coldest one yet, and fruit flies. Before I introduce my beautiful guest and do the pitch for the show, I want to let you all know that I just sent my newsletter out today. Actually, I sent it out at 2:22 on a step 22. Okay. I didn't even plan it that way. And that's what happens when we surrender to divine flow. And I'm grateful for that. But we've got pop-up tarot tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern. I can't wait for that show. We've got the dodecahedron activation in my Platonic Sound program. I am launching the next program of that February 1st, 2025. That sounds crazy to say. And this will be the last week of my current rates for astrology reading and sound healing. I am getting a raise from my amazing boss, which is me, for Sagittarius season. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited to welcome you to Who Are You? Who, who are you? Episode 20 with my beautiful guest, Deborah Dahl.
Hi, everybody.
Yay.
Thanks for having me.
Wahana, hello, sister. Thank you again for being my guest on Keeping It Surreal yesterday. Oh my goodness. Deborah, you and I have gotten connected, well, kind of through my ladies that did my Platonic Sound program, right?
Well, Unite the Light.
Oh, they were, Unite the Light. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny because Carol's been a guest on my show and Kathy's in my Platonic. We're all connected, and it's mostly through serious joy, thankfully. So grateful.
They were so sweet and amazing. They recommended that I contact you. And
well, yeah, and I looked at your website. I was like, oh my gosh, she's a goddess. You have, I mean, first of all, like, I want to hear the story of how your practice and your healing techniques came into fruition, because I know there's a backstory that's super transformative in your life. And you basically learned through traumatic events and life experience and your own practices that you created how to heal yourself from trauma.
Right.
That's like huge.
Yeah. And it was all very unexpected. Like everything was very unexpected. I was married for 38 years to who I thought was the love of my life.
Well, he was for 38 years, right?
Well, yeah, more or less. But I had projected my feelings on, I thought he assumed he felt the same way about me as I felt about him. And it just did it. I just couldn't see like a lot of the things that were happening. So I discovered 10 years ago. In fact, it'll be 10 years ago this month on the 23rd.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. That's an anniversary.
Yeah, it's a huge one. I discovered that he was cheating. The person he was cheating with texted me pictures that were inappropriate. And while he was sitting across the living room from me, I found out later he actually gave her my phone number because she had been blackmailing him. And he finally was like, I can't pay you anymore. And she's like, fine, I'll tell your wife. And he's like, fine, go ahead. And he gave her my phone number.
Because he didn't have the courage to do it himself.
No, no. It
Wow.
was, I mean, talk about a slap in the face. I was just, at, and, I confronted him, and, there was a big argument, and he denied everything. Like, he didn't.
How can you deny it when you just got a text of a picture of what's been going on?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I went in the bedroom and I threw him out. I threw out everything, and I just threw it all out into the living room. And
Didn't Susan Sarandon or somebody do that in a movie? Like, that's it, you're out of here.
yeah. Well, and then I locked the door and I stayed up all night because originally a lot of these affairs were text through text. He was texting a lot of people. And so I went through the phone bills all night long and discovered that he had been having texting affairs with 15 different people, between 8 and 10,000 texts a month each. Now, it had gone on over a period of time. And so they weren't all at once, but it was over, after a year, I was like, okay, it was mourning and,
Grieving and
I
trauma,
had,
like just shock,
yeah.
betrayal.
Yeah. So I left. This was days before. So that was a Sunday night.
Mhm.
Monday morning, I left and I went to my oldest daughter's house and I stayed with her.
And he's the father of
Uh-huh.
three children, right?
Yeah. They're all grown. They were all grown at the time. And so I ended up, my intention was, okay, we can fix this, you know, that we can get past it,
Oh,
I know, I know, I know. And that's what I wanted. But apparently he didn't want the same thing. By the time it was all said and done, Kristen, he had had affairs online and in person, because after I found out about it, it kind of
free for
escalated.
all. He's like,
Yeah,
well, she knows now. Freeze
yeah.
burn.
He had affairs with 31 different women.
Oh my goddess. I am
I know.
so sorry.
I know, and the reason why I'm laughing about it is because the shock value of this is horrific. But that's the average
For men
for
in general?
for cheating. Yeah, for cheating. That when men start to cheat, they they just hop from person to person to person, and
God, that's
because
terrifying.
it is horrifying, and some are less, some are more. But then to find out that I was average was kind of like, okay,
So
this,
I'm normal. It's
yeah.
normal. Oh, great.
So this
Thanks.
is this
My
is average.
husband's a lying cheat, and it's okay because it's normal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and I was like, I mean, I didn't excuse that,
Sure.
for him, well, that's normal. First of all, I didn't know that for quite a few years
I mean,
later. Yeah. And so I told him, if you get yourself into recovery, because this is an addiction, right? It's sex and corn addictions. And so then they,
did you say corn
uh-huh,
instead of porn?
uh-huh,
Why is
I don't want you to get,
oh gosh, I curse. I do everything. I'm pretty sure we still have the First Amendment in the country. They tried to take that away from us. They've been trying since 2020 and before, but
yeah,
you can say porn on my
yeah,
channel.
okay. Sex and porn
Thank
is,
you for respecting my
yeah.
boundaries, though, Deborah.
Well, I just know that,
Yeah.
I've been censored so much.
So have I.
Funny. But so I was like, if you will get into a recovery program, and
Oh, how long was it into you knowing this that you were still trying?
oh, from the time I discovered the text messages, I gave him a year, which ended up being 2 years. So I gave him 2 years well, we had a 38-year marriage. I was like, you don't just throw that out. But then also, I was getting really wrong information from people. So I read a book by a woman. Her name is Tracy Schoen, and she wrote a book called Leave a Cheater, Gain a Life. It's the best book. Um, she has no filter, which is fine. I didn't have a problem with that. In fact, you sort of need that to like slap you upside the head.
Yeah.
And so I ended up um, reading that book, and she calls it the reconciliation industrial complex. So it's sort of like the psychology equivalent of big pharma. You know,
Interesting.
they they make a lot of money on women who want to save their marriages.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
It's a
So
hoodwink. It's a total hoodwink.
yeah, it was the biggest scam I've ever been involved with, because everybody, you know, and I went through 5 therapists and 2 recovery programs to find out the truth. And I finally, um, I finally realized that he's not going to change, and no one would. It's like, should I? Because I would ask, should I
Well, and
do
I
this?
think I think that's a big thing for women in relationship, myself included. We always want to see the potential or the hope or the dream or and because we want the illusion of it so much, Neptune still retrograde in Pisces, we'll put those blinders on ourselves. And I think the empowerment process is removing the blinders and looking at the truth that you finally did see after 2 years.
Well,
S
and it's more than that, because your trauma brain
Oh,
kicks
yeah.
in. And your trauma brain, the whole purpose is to protect you, right?
Mhm.
From anything that's painful, and it's constantly scanning the future, looking for dangerous things that it compares to what happened to you in the past. And then it just blocks you from being able to really see what's going on. And you can't see it until you come out of your trauma brain and you get into your thinking brain or your prefrontal cortex. And so you're really damned if you do and damned if you don't.
And
Because,
so this is interesting because you had childhood trauma that you were still operating from in your marriage, is that
mhm,
correct?
yes,
So that was the subconscious trauma that you built your family with, had a 38-year marriage with, and then received the ultimate betrayal from your husband.
yeah, right.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, eh, I really struggled, to say the least. I mean, I can, tell the story now. And that's one thing that you've um, recovered, is
Yeah.
if you can tell your story without crying.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And because, but I also did things like EMDR,
Mhm.
which,
And EMDR is where you do the eye focal thing that
yeah,
helps.
yeah, it disconnects the emotion from the event.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. So you can look at it from an observer point of view. Got it.
yeah, yeah. And it wasn't until I did EMDR that I could do that. So it here I am, not knowing, I'm living in my daughter's house, um, and not knowing what to do. My youngest daughter was in a college dorm and she hated it. And she was like, Mom, let's move into an apartment together. And so that's what we did. And but always the entire time was like, if you get yourself into recovery and you do everything that that you need to fix this, then I'll come back. And it just never happened. 2 years. It never happened.
Yeah.
So
So when did you start um when did you start cultivating your own healing techniques? I mean, first you had to heal yourself and figure out your life situation, right? And then, I mean, I looked at your website and you have like so many programs. I was just like, wow, it's like you're a Grand Master 28-degree Taurus or something.
oh, really? Oh,
But
really?
what did you do? Like, what did you do to like shift yourself? So is it you're
Okay,
getting to that point where you and your
sure.
daughter like let's team up and live together, and that was like the beginning of the next chapter for
Yeah.
you?
So I got out of the situation. At least I could have uh some space and some frame of reference. And I got myself into um a serious recovery program. What really ended up happening is that really changed everything
Mhm.
was I had gone to a couples therapy with him and where I thought we'd finally broken through and made a some improvement.
Mhm.
And I was real excited about that. She suggested that he take me home with him and that we practice these exercises that she gave us, the, non-sexual connection exercises. And when we went down after the session, he put me in the car and sent me home in my car. He put me in my car and he sent me. He didn't even do what.
This is yeah, where the actions speak so much louder than the
So
words.
well, it gets worse than that. So it was a 30-minute drive to therapy back to home. And by the time I got home, I was getting text messages from these women who were on this website fighting over him. And
Wow.
and then I was like, okay, I can't even trust, my own belief system. I thought we were making, but no. And, he put me in the car and, he doesn't care. Um, he doesn't love me. This doesn't matter to him. And I became suicidal.
Mm,
And that was the change point to
yeah.
me. I ended up going to the hospital. I hadn't done anything to myself, but I had a plan. And so I went to the hospital and the doctor gave me a couple of techniques, butterfly breathing, and a couple of other techniques to calm my central nervous system so that I could. Um, my resting heart rate, Kristen, during this time was 107.
Wow.
I
Okay,
know.
let's practice that. Let's practice that. This is now, is there specific breathing? Because, you know, Jupiter and Gemini, people are losing their minds. Oh my God, Trump won. Let's freak out. No, it's a good thing. Wakey, wakey. But
Yeah,
because a lot of, younger kids are so MK ultra and brainwashed with our devices, adults as well.
sure, sure.
So what are the
So,
techniques that
butterfly breathing is you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, and you're always going to fill your belly like a balloon.
Mhm.
Not lifting your shoulders at all,
Into
but
the diaphragm.
yeah, breathing down into your diaphragm, into your lower dantian. And so then you're breathing, breathe in, one, breathe out, two, breathe in, three, breathe out, 4, and you only go to 4,
Oh.
and but then you start over again. Like if you haven't calmed in that space, then you start over again. And the reason why is because this is tapping into your central nervous system.
Mm.
The counting is engaging your prefrontal cortex, and the breathing is stimulating the vagus nerve. So you're getting this hit of dopamine that helps lower the cortisol and adrenaline. And I mean, this was life-saving to me. I was doing this all the time.
Well, and what's interesting that it releases the dopamine is that's what video games, screen time, and all sorts of stuff overstimulates artificially in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
this is an organic, like, okay, just go to the parking lot on your break at work and just like
Right.
do the butterfly breath.
Right.
That's amazing.
Right. So in that moment, I
Yeah.
realized that I needed to choose myself.
Yeah.
It was him or me, and I picked me.
Yeah.
And I kind of put my foot down and was like, it's me, damn it.
Yeah.
It's
For you.
me.
Yeah.
It's me. And
That's the deal.
and that changed everything. And so because I was in this terrible space, and I was like, I can't live like this. I mean, my heart rate was as if I were exercising when I was sitting still.
Yeah.
And so I prayed to God, and I just said, get me out of this. Like, and you have to be careful the promises that you make to God. Because I said, I'll do whatever it takes. Whatever you want me to do, no matter how weird it is, I will do it. And the next day, a friend of mine who I'd known for 20 years contacts me. She calls me and she said, I feel like I need to share with you something that I'm learning. Can you come over and let me show you this? And I didn't even ask her what it was. I just said, okay, because I trusted her.
Yeah.
And it was emotion code.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, after an hour, because she was practicing, so she needed people.
Yeah, to practice on. Yeah, that's how it starts your own practice in business.
Yeah. So, long story short, I got certified in emotion code. And then I had
and then the light came in. Amazing. Now, how long is that process to get certified? Like 3 weeks or a month, or?
It's a few months, because you have to like do, I don't know, ridiculous amount of people.
Oh, yeah. Well,
and dogs and.
Oh, I love that. You can use it on animals as well.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes. And I was emotion coding everything. But then I went to another friend of mine contacted me and said I needed to go to this recovery program for betrayal trauma. It's in Utah here, and it's called ADDO Recovery, ADDO. They do online services as well. So if you don't live here, you can still benefit from it. And they have a free thing that you can end up doing courses online, in different things. But I went full into because it was just down the street from me. So I went full into it. And the man who runs it, Dr. Kevin Skinner, is one of the world experts on betrayal trauma. He's the first person to identify betrayal trauma as the same thing as PTSD. So, and he's done lectures and a TED Talk and, all kinds of different things. And they bring you in and you do an intake and they actually evaluate you. And so I was diagnosed with PTSD. anxiety and depression and panic attacks. And so then they put you on a specialized program for the things that you're diagnosed with. And one of the things that they recommend that's so great for betrayal trauma is yoga. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And every time I said that, God was like, you promised you would do whatever. And so I went and did the yoga, and I had the most interesting experience because it wasn't, I mean, we did some of like the postures and things like that, but a lot of it was the meditating and getting in touch with yourself. And it was the first time I'd ever heard of or learned about chakras.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I mean, I had been through my whole entire life. I have brushed up against healing, energy healing my entire life. I just didn't know that's what it was. But so I'm laying on this mat, and she's talking us through our chakras.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one, of course, is the root chakra,
Mm-hmm.
which as a Taurus, that's my home. That's home base, right?
Well, as Earth people, yes, and in some practices, we rule the throat.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
But that was the first one, and I was laying there, and she's like, it's red, and it may be spinning, it might not be, just notice the color, notice the how big it is, all of this. And I have a great imagination,
mm-hmm.
and I couldn't see it. I was just like,
shut down.
and when I knew that she was about to go on to the next one,
Mm-hmm.
and I was so frustrated that I went, and as soon as I did, in my mind's eye, I saw gray dust, and it blew away.
Amazing.
And there was this tiny red ember that was hardly there.
But it was there.
It was there.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I told her about it, and I asked her about it, and she was like, are you suicidal? And I said, yes. And she was like, oh my gosh. And so then they gave me a ton of things to do to heal my root chakra.
Great.
A few weeks later, I had another friend call me, and she's like, God keeps telling me I needed to reach out to you. And this is the daughter of a friend that I had when my oldest, who's now 40 something, was a baby. And so, yeah, long time, but I hadn't heard from her in forever. And I went over to her house, and she is a amazing master energy healer. And she discovered that my soul had been shattered into 21 pieces, and some of them were still hanging around, and some of them were gone. And as soon as she started speaking these words, I started to cry, right? Because I knew my spirit was floating in and out of my body.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie Ant-Man and the Wasp? The protagonist is a ghost. And they're
long time ago,
vibrating so much
that
she can't hold herself together. That's how I felt.
Mm.
And so she brought all my pieces, put me back together, and then I was like, somebody who is dying of thirst at a water hole, and I'm just like, give me. What did you do? How did you do that? How do I learn to do this? Right. And one thing just led to another. And part of what happened with Inner Peace Pathways is that God told me I needed to keep good records of everything that was happening, what was working, what wasn't.
that's what I'm seeing in your journey. And like right when you were ready, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, or when you're ready to do the healing, the healer appears, because no one can heal us. We have to heal ourselves. It's an
Right.
inside out process, but it's like the journey that breadcrumbed you. And now here we are at your program.
I know, right? And it has been amazing, and because I can sit here and say, well, yeah, I did this, but I didn't really do this. I mean, it's all God. I get these downloads, and
Well, but you did do it because you said, yes, I'll do anything. And then you got your life experience of your own healing. And then inner peace pathways is where you took your magic and the creation of you, and you put all these modalities together to create your own work. Is that right?
yes, and part of the beauty of inner peace pathways is it doesn't do the work for you.
No.
All I did was find all of the things that do work
Mm-hmm.
and put them together in one spot. So you don't have to go looking for it. You don't have to spend a lot of money on research. Um, it's hard for me to describe how this feels, because not a lot of people are like me, and I understand that, but I research the hell out of things. Like if there
Some
is,
people research. I think that's why, the world is in the state that it's in, because people just got lazy and didn't want to really know or research.
well,
And
if I come
reading,
across a problem,
yeah,
yeah, I want to know everything about it.
right.
And so everything that I went into, it wasn't just, oh, this is interesting. No, it was a deep dive into everything. I wanted to make sure it worked. I tried it out on me. I went through a process of learning grounding and breathing and meditation. Meditation changed my life.
Meditation changes everyone's life, and everyone needs to do it a heck of a lot
Right?
more. Myself, I'm talking to myself too, and
Right,
I'm
right,
doing
right,
a lot of meditating,
right,
but it is the game changer, and it's so important as a foundation now more than ever, in my
right.
opinion. But
I agree with you 100%, 1,000%. If people will just meditate, a lot of their issues will disappear. The problem is that it's not a fast fix. It's a practice, and it's
yeah,
called meditation practice for a reason.
yeah. And I think,
Um,
in our society, in our country in particular, because of the literal commercials and programs of big pharma, that program constantly, there's a quick fix for this. You just have to take a little pill. And it's like, you're not doing the real healing. You're not doing the real work. And healing requires a lot of commitment, a lot of courage, a lot of honesty, a lot of uh, acceptance of pain, trauma, feeling the hard feelings, facing your fears. It is an
all of the
earth
above.
shattering. We can say that as Tauruses. It is an earth shattering volcanic experience that cannot be.
You can't get around.
No,
The only
it
way
cannot be
around
avoided.
it is through it.
Yeah, because you'll get cancer. You'll give yourself this. It's like, that resides, that frequency, all that dealt with
Yeah.
stuff, like gives the disease, creates the disease.
Emotion gets stuck in your body, and then it starts vibrating with whatever organ it's next
Yep.
to, and is the next thing you know, you're sick.
Yeah.
And I had the same problem. So I had fibromyalgia. I still do have it to some degree,
Mhm.
but when I left my husband, I actually got better.
Oh, yeah.
Was
'Cause you're
And I was like,
oh my God, I can finally start healing because I'm not being traumatized and lied to anymore. So let's get back to your inner peace program because your website is deborahdahl.com.
Deborah L.
Deborah L. Dahl. I'm sorry, Deborah L. Dahl. I'm putting it right in the chat here.
Deborah L. Dahl
Yeah.
at yeah, .com. And the website is set up as a series of packages for healing. There are 4 pathways. The first one is rescue pathway. It's like, oh my gosh, this has happened to me. What do I do now? Kind of thing. So it's everything that I
Right.
learned, because nothing in life prepares you for this. Nothing. And nothing
For
in
your
life
program?
prepares you for being betrayed.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing.
No.
There's nothing. You don't ever go into your marriage or relationship saying, oh, this person is going to betray me, and I better figure out what to do. You just don't. And so um you're hit by a bus, backed up, and hit by it again. I mean, you just really, it's so hard to describe how it feels, and only people who've been through it really get it. And so that's one of the places that I really can be helpful,
And
is
does
because
the betrayal have to be I mean, you obviously specialize with healing this in the rescue program with women that have been betrayed and men, or is it
I just do women,
okay,
because men, um
aren't ready?
well, it's not that they're not
Perpetrators?
what, and men are betrayed,
They are betrayed. It's so
but
true.
I'm not a man, and I don't know what that feels like.
Sure. Okay. I very much understand like doing I can help you because I've gone through it myself and this is who I am.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I couldn't pretend to even tell a man who's been betrayed how because we're wired differently. We
So
experience things differently. And but but one thing I've found is that any woman who has been through this, even though our experiences are very different, the feelings are identical.
yeah.
And it's kind of scary that it's so across the board. So here's a statistic: 30 million women in the United States are betrayed. 30 million. Out of those, 70% will be traumatized by it. So it's a huge amount of people. And one of the things that women will do is just brush it away. Okay,
Uh,
I'll be fine. I just need, they treat it like grief, and it's not. And the more and the longer you ignore it, the worse it becomes. And then you do end up being sick because you haven't addressed any of the trauma.
right.
And so one of the things that I do is I really encourage women. In fact, I pretty much insist that they get a therapist. You need that first. And I go over this in the rescue pathway.
Oh, okay. So there's
What?
like step by step, like these are the first steps to take as
Yeah.
if you're going to like AA or something.
Yes.
Okay, great.
And I give them a list of programs. Do this. This works. This is how it works. Um, get a therapist. How to put together a support team.
Mhm.
Because one of the things that I found is that not only did I not know what to do,
Right,
nobody around me did either.
right.
And I was a little bit angry that I had to ask people for help and then explain to them exactly what I needed, because they wanted to help me. They just didn't know what to do. Like,
Sure.
nobody knew what to do with me. And I was sort of a brat, you know. Well, I was a brat. Wasn't
Well, it
sort
would
of.
be frustrating because, people wanna help you and you need help, but then they don't know what to do to help you, and that happens with grief as well, and that grief can be happening because of a trauma as well, and PTSD and all of that,
So
but
I have to
it's
get
been
out.
frustrating for you.
Yeah, so frustrating. And then to tell somebody what I needed, I had to get out of my limbic brain, my reptilian brain, and into my thinking brain in order to be able to think straight enough to tell them. And so, and so
This was the birth of Rescue Yourself program.
right,
But it
right?
was. I mean, you literally lived through it, and then you created this transformational program, and this isn't the only program that you have. How
No,
many programs total? So,
there's
rescue
4.
program is the one that you always
Everybody needs to
first.
start there.
Okay, got it. What
And yeah, and the reason why is because um all of the other programs build and spiral.
I
Like
got you.
it,
So the rescue program is the
it's
foundation that
foundation.
gives you all of the tools that will assist you as you unlock and unravel any other healing layers
Right.
that will get revealed, because that's what happens. There's never that's it that once you start the healing journey, it's the
Right.
never ending story.
Yeah,
So, like this is
that's
but
true.
this is the work, and if you are incarnate on this planet in this now, you said yes to this in the small writing from Prime Creator, Mother, Father, God,
Right.
you
And
know?
that's painful.
Yeah.
Um, when I came to the realization that something in me drew this to me, I was like, no,
Yep.
no.
You signed it too, Deborah. I
I
did too. We
know.
all
I know.
signed it. We all signed it. And look
I
the magic that you've created. So that's the first program. And how much is that program, if you don't mind me asking?
So normally it's right now it's $99. And if you're watching this program, um, then I'm giving it to you for half price.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yay. Thank
And
you.
it's the promo code Who Are You? So if you go in to my website and you click on Rescue Pathway and you do the checkout, at checkout, do promo code Who Are You? And you'll get it for 50% off. And then um, because this is fairly new, a new program, and I am still in development for some of the later programs. Eventually, the rescue pathway it will be free, but I can't do that for right now.
Sure.
But
Well, because
all of my early adopters
Mhm.
will get all of the other ones for free. So
Oh,
if you sign
wow.
up for it today and you use the promo code, or anytime you see this video, like if you see this video, it's going to be on this video in perpetuity. And so just um, when you sign up for it, it's going to be 50% off. So around $50, a little less. And well, I guess a little more with taxes. But then, right. But then any of the other pathways, you'll get them for free. All of my early adopters will do that. And then I have, I don't know what my cutoff is going to be, but eventually I'll cut off early adopters. And then the rescue pathway will be free. And then the healing pathway will be the first one that you actually pay for.
So Healing Pathway is the second program. Thank you so much for offering anyone that is watching this that deal. That is
I want people to heal.
me too.
It's like, just please, just do it.
Yeah.
And, it's hard. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to lie. Um, I do, I am a life coach. I'm a master life coach. So I have lots of modality that I'm certified in life coaching. And so I will constantly keep in contact with you, and you have contact with me within the program. You can ask me questions. I have a Facebook page, and once you sign up, I'll put you there, and you can, interact with other people if you want to. You don't have to, but you do have contact with me. In the healing program, I do a monthly call with
Great.
everyone that's in there.
Great.
And then I continue that. The next pathway is healing, growing, because after we heal, then we have to, grow a little,
Yeah.
and then thriving. And thriving is, it's not enough to just get over this. You need to thrive. You need to get to the point where you know, you can move past it, create a new life for yourself. Because really what happens, and anyone who has experienced this, is listening now, knows this to be true. You feel like your life is over, that it's never going to get any better, that this is as good as it gets. And can I just say, like, really close up to you, that's not true. It's not true. Look at me.
Yeah.
Look at me. Um, I I could never have imagined that God would take my pain and turn it into something that would help other people. But he knew this needed to happen, because what's out there is not working for you. It's a sick system that is perpetuating a sick system. And you've got to get to the point where you get out of that. If
Yeah.
somebody along the way in those first 2 years had told me, get away from your husband, he's not going to heal, I would have listened to that. But nobody was telling me that. I was getting just the opposite. Oh, stay, you can fix it. Stay, you can fix it. Stay, you can fix it. And that was actually causing me more pain
Right.
and more trauma. And it was a pile on that was criminal, actually, because of how it affected me. It was not right. And what's interesting is you can't find really real statistics on how many people heal from porn and sex addiction. You can't find it. They hide it. It took me about 2 years to find it. And I was asking everyone, like, what
Well,
are
and
the
a lot of people don't wanna know. They don't wanna know. I think, in my opinion, Hugh Hefner, the whole freaking CIA, Mockingbird Media, his whole house that has all the crazy and Playboy and all that, like, that
well, and P.
is such an
Diddy and
emasculation of men, in my opinion,
right, right.
and an
And
objectifying of women.
right, right. And so I finally found the statistics, but it took me a really long. I had to go to the police department to
No kidding?
find it. Yeah,
Find a public record of statistics?
yeah, yeah. And um, I since have found a couple of other statistical reports on it, and the best that I can gather is that the recovery of porn and sex addiction is about 5 to 25%. So at best, you have a 1 in 4 chance, because it's like cancer. You're not cancer free for 5 years. You're not porn free for 5 years, too.
Yeah, it's so accessible, especially with phones and this and that. I mean, I do have the utmost faith that that system is completely going away soon. And Pluto in Capricorn, with the astrology we've got, with the ascension things we've got, and all of those things we've got. And it's just like, wow. I feel really sorry for men, but I've also witnessed that toxicity in my own relationships before, and it infuriates me
Right.
because I'm a beautiful woman. You know
Yes, you
what I
are.
mean? Just like, and
Yes, you
you're
Well,
choosing
so am
that
I.
over, like, yes, like, but I'm right here.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, but that Tauruses are warm and loving and sensual and yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit. And not only that, but like you love uh, food and all of that. One of the things I've done in my life is I was a personal chef for a while. And so
Amazing.
I cook like nobody's business.
Yeah.
I have a beautiful, appealing home, that's decorated to the nines. All creature comforts everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And doting and um, you know, attentive, all of those things. And it's like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Bye, Felicia. Bye-bye.
Right.
Now,
Right.
so I want to talk about, so when did you create this program?
Um,
'Cause you've been life coaching for a while, right?
yeah. Well, they kind of all they kind of all
Well,
overlapped and went together. Like I would heal a little bit and then I would get these downloads like you need to do this and you need to do that and you need to put this program together. And the first thing I actually did is I wrote a book, and which I have not published.
oh, okay. I'm like, well, how do we find your book, Deborah?
Well, I took a writing course from Hay House and from Reed Tracy, and and I they kept talking about writing the book before the book. And so I realized that my book that I wrote will never be published. It's the book before the book.
Oh, I see. Interesting. You're like, I guess I'll believe that, and that's what's gonna happen. Okay.
And so I got through that experience, I got this website app called Scrivener. And Scrivener helps you uh, keep your thoughts all together and put everything together for um, writing a book.
Uh-huh.
And so I put my program in there.
Oh, wow. That's so you went to write a book and then it ended up being your program?
Hmm.
Oh, oh my God. It doesn't matter. Like, you don't have to plan anything. God, like, just guides you to do
Hmm.
exactly what you have to. And I'm such a Taurus. Like, I have to experience it one on one, like viscerally, emotionally, physically, psychologically, spiritually, so I can really integrate it into my body. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to teach this. Okay.
Right.
And so I
That's
want
exactly what happened.
Taurus
Because
thing.
I'm that way completely. And it's interesting because in my astrology it says that I'm going to have this life transformation and then teach it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. Um, yeah.
It's the best because, in my opinion, life experience is the best teacher because it's something that not only changes you and transforms you and the inside, but it becomes so personal to you. And it's like, I have to express this. And that's the passion, right? Like, I want to share this healing with people. It's helped me so much, and it's just like, oh, I want to do this. And then it just goes and grows and goes and grows from there. And growing is one of the levels of your program. So it's
Right.
rescue, healing,
Feeling.
growing,
Growing.
thriving.
Right. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it.
And I
How
take
long
everybody.
How long are the programs?
So the rescue program is 15 lessons. So with the discount that I just gave everybody, they're about $3.33 a lesson.
Oh my gosh, I worked out some angel numbers in my stuff too. I love it.
I didn't know that that was what it was until I went and ran the.
Like, you can't take a misstep. God's like, "Don't worry, sister. I've got your back."
Well,
Amazing.
and that's how I felt this entire time. It's been so um healing for me to know that God has my back no matter what.
Sister, God has your back, forward, left, right, up, down. Like, you're like, "Oh, how did I get here? Oh, look." Then it just falls in your lap. That's so amazing. And what a
But
gift.
I am a master manifester, right?
Yes, you are 28-degree Taurus. So
Yeah.
that is how you do it.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, and and also one of the things that shows up in my chart quite heavily is being an alchemist.
Mhm.
And so I can, literally turn shit into gold.
Yeah,
It's just
that's
it
amazing. Good, because we're about to humanity is about to witness the biggest shit show we've ever seen.
right. Right.
What are you gonna turn it into? The awakening. We're all golden beings of light, and
Right.
good morning.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
So one of the things that has really been affirming, life affirming to
Mhm,
me is to know that I am loved.
mhm.
For somebody who's been betrayed, that's huge,
Yeah.
and that I'm taken care of. And um, the biggest thing, if I were going to say one thing that I teach in my pathways, is I teach women to love themselves again, um, to be that person for themselves. Um, I'm the one who rescues me. And that's
Yes.
my and
Nobody's
that's my
gonna do it
mantra.
for anyone. Like, there's no one coming like that. That is the biggest program that we all ate. That is one of the biggest disempowering programs planted into humanity's consciousness
Well, and I will never give my power away like that again,
thing.
ever.
Yeah.
And it's not that, relationships aren't important to me, they are. But man, you have to be vibrating on my level for me to even look at you.
Or above.
Yes.
My level or above.
And I teach how to do that in the thriving pathway. I teach you how to get back into the dating world and and do it by the numbers. Like you can actually assign a number to people and and see if they measure up. I've got this whole thing, this whole algorithm.
I'm like, "Okay, let's talk about the basics." I'm like, can you give us like a 1 minute recap of the thriving? Because there's so many women that have done a lot of healing, maybe not. Can you do the thriving without doing the rescue?
Probably not,
Okay.
be- because um,
You just
you
need
want
the
to make sure
foundation.
that you're really healed.
Yeah.
Like you can zoom through them. Like if something's doesn't really resonate, you can fast forward through it and keep going. But I want to make sure
Sure.
that and
Wanna
this is a download from God.
Yeah.
I don't argue with it. It's like
Sure, I think that's amazing. You trust it and you're like, "Okay, this is the thing." I mean, that's how I function with my platonic sound program. Like, that's my sound healing, it's my prayer
mhm,
work. Like, it is transmission, it is channeled. I don't other things, like if I'm on Serious Joy doing a pep talk, I have to do some research on that one, but
Right.
looking at the astrology and whatnot. So that's all very insightful to know how the program ebbs and flows, and it feels so powerful.
Well, and then when you get to the end through the thriving piece, if you want to join me and do this for other people, there's that option too.
Wonderful.
So it prepares you and trains you to do what I do. I mean, there's 30 million women out there, and 70%. I can't reach them all. I can't do this by myself.
No. Well,
And
I
yeah,
pray, because we've done this amazing show today, that more beautiful goddesses that deserve to love themselves and are loved and will become more loved will find this and go to, I'm getting it right, Deborah L. Dahl, DAHL.com, and book your recovery program immediately.
yeah, get started. And if you have feedback, I'm open to the feedback. I'm open to I want to hear how it's helping and changing your life. I've already worked with several clients one-on-one, and they can't say enough about how it's helped them. I even have a friend who wants to become a partner, that I helped, and she lives in India.
Oh, amazing.
And
Wow.
so
You're already global.
she wants to take the program and tweak it a little bit for the Indian culture,
Yeah.
because they have a different way that they deal with their relationships.
So different. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Oh my
And so, I'm working through that. Lots of things are in the irons in the fire,
yeah.
and I just have to like rein it back and take my Taurus plodding time, and just
And surrender to the flow of how it organically reveals, which it sounds like has been part of your journey in birthing this powerful programs. And Deborah, thank you so much for being on episode 20 of Who Are You? Who? Dun, 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 dun,
thank you.
dun. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for sharing your story and how this came about. And y'all, she's giving you an amazing discount of half off of the rescue program. So go to Deborah L. Dahl, purchase the rescue program, and know that it will transform your life.
Well, and
Barb,
once you're in, now you're in.
that's
You're
right.
in for the rest of it.
Your
And so,
grandmother didn't forever, because
yeah,
everything comes from the grandmothers.
it's true.
All
And
right, sister. Do you have any last words you would like to share?
no, other than just know that this program comes to you with so much love, not just from me, but from God. He loves his daughters, and he is offended that we are being treated this way. And it comes across in the program. Like, you are loved. He wants you to heal.
And so does our mother God.
Yes.
Hello,
Yeah.
and she's coming back to our consciousness. She's gonna be like, all right, boys, your time's up.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
good, and we're gonna get there.
We
Deborah,
could do a whole nother show about her.
oh my gosh, we could. We could. Maybe next year.
Maybe.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for listening to
Thank you.
Deborah's amazing story in her program. Again, Deborah Dahl, DeborahLDahl.com. And thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until the next time, sending you all so much love, many blessings.
Mm.